Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, deadly attacks in two countries, here at home in America and in Israel. Two explosions near bus stops in Jerusalem today at the height of morning rush hour, killing a 16-year-old Israeli and wounding at least 20 more. We'll bring you the story from Jerusalem. A mass shooting at a Wal Mart in Chesapeake, Virginia. At least 7 dead, including the shooter.
We did basically like a tactical entrance and movement in the building. We located multiple fatalities and multiple injured persons.
Early reports indicate the shooter was a Walmart employee. Another missile launch from North Korea, raising the possibility they could hit any target in the United States with a nuclear weapon.
For North Korea, they're trying to perfect their nuclear weapons, and their main goal in using those weapons is to keep the United States really at home.
And a remarkable new movie, Devotion, based on a true story of America's first black Navy pilot and his white wingman, and their incredible friendship during the war in North Korea in 1950.
That's the miracle of being devoted to a cause and having and giving empathy to an individual.
Those stories for you today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin this half hour with the twin terror explosions in Jerusalem today, one of them killing a 16-year-old student. At least 20 other Israelis were injured in the explosions. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, the bombings come while Israel is trying to form another government.
The two bombs exploded early in the morning during rush hour, when many Israelis were on their way to work or school. The first explosion took place here at this bus stop, just at the entrance of Jerusalem. The bomb apparently being left in a bag, which reminded many of what happened numerous times during the Second Intifada. During that campaign of Palestinian terror from 2000 to 2004, hundreds of terror attacks killed more than 1,000 Israelis, many of them on buses or in public places. Those attacks subsided, but in 2022, a series of Palestinian attacks have killed 29 people in Israel and Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. Itamar Ben-Gvir, who could become Israel's next public security minister, visited the scene and said Israel needs to restore its deterrence.
I say it in a clear way. We must exact the price from terror, go back to targeted assassinations to stop the parties in the security prisons, to stop the Palestinian Authority supporting terrorism payments. This can be done. I'm not talking politics, but we have to establish a government as fast as possible.
In Palestinian towns, some gave out candy to celebrate the bombings. So far, no group has claimed responsibility, but a Hamas spokesman welcomed the terror attacks and said the Zionist enemy is paying for its aggression and crimes against our people and the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem with more on this. Chris, are people concerned about a major organized wave of violence, such as another intifada?
They are, Ephraim, actually, with this wave of terror attacks since earlier this year. During the month of Ramadan, there's a fear that it can only intensify. People remember what it was like during the Second Intifada. When I was at the bombing scene earlier today, Ephraim, I met an Israeli cameraman who I've known for years, and he works for one of the major news organizations, and he was telling me that he walked very slowly to the bombing scene because he suffers from PTSD from the Second Intifada when there were just dozens of these kind of attacks. He said it sort of brings back all the memory, sights, and smells. So I think a lot of Israelis are fearing that kind of campaign will return. This was a well-planned, coordinated attack. That's what one of Israel's senior officials said. They also said it was a ticking time bomb Israel may have on its hands right now. The question is whether or not the Palestinians will have the kind of resources to launch another campaign like they did in 2000 to 2004 during the Second Intifada. That was a terrible time here in Israel, and Israelis are praying it won't happen again.
Chris, what changes in response to these terror acts would you expect in a government led by Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, one of the people that may be in the government is Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's been promising actually a more robust response to any kind of terror attacks. Some of the things that he mentioned, maybe targeted assassinations. He doesn't want so many benefits to Palestinians in the prisons. He's also talking about trying to stop this pay to slay, which is where, the Palestinian Authority actually pays terrorists after they've committed terrorist acts. And this is all why Israelis actually elected a right-wing government, because since the Ramadan or actually before that, many Israelis have been feeling unsafe under the last government. I'll give you one example of what the former government did really epitomizes the difference. What they did, despite protests from one of the main groups in Judea, Samaria, also known as the West Bank, that government reopened a checkpoint near Hebron. It was reopened for the first time in 20 years. Just days later, there was a deadly terror attack at that checkpoint. And some of these moves have been encouraged by the Biden administration, but it's unlikely the new government, if it does get formed, and hopefully many people are hoping it's going to be done in the next week or two, that it won't yield to the kind of pressure from the State Department or the White House.
So, Chris, what is happening among the Palestinian people and leadership that concerns Israel now?
Well, two things. First of all, the possible collapse of the Palestinian Authority. That's been weak, and it's maybe Hamas in the West Bank is as strong as the Palestinian Authority. That could be exacerbated by the death of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. He's well in his 80s, is in ill health, and if he passes away, then there will be a battle over who's going to succeed him. That could lead to some sort of a civil war there in the West Bank. Also, the rise of young terror groups. One of them is called the Young Lions. They're not affiliated necessarily with the PA Hamas, but these are all groups are part of the ticking time bomb mentioned by the Israeli official, and they don't want that to go off like the bombs did today just on the outskirts of Jerusalem.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell reporting from Jerusalem. Much appreciated. Back here at home, a mass shooting at a Wal Mart in Chesapeake, Virginia, has left at least 7 people dead, including the shooter. Several others, at least 5, were injured. The shooting happened at the Wal Mart Supercenter on Sam Circle in Chesapeake, Virginia, at about 10:15 last night. Preliminary reports point to an employee entering the break room and opening fire on other workers. Several employees reportedly hid inside bathrooms as shots rang out in the store.
We did basically like a tactical entrance and movement in the building. We located multiple fatalities and multiple injured persons. A little while later, through the course of providing treatment, we were able to establish that we believe it's a single shooter, and that single shooter is deceased at this time.
Early reports suggest the shooter was a manager at that Walmart. One man posted a video online sharing what he saw.
The manager came in here, started dumping, man. As soon as I left out the break room, he went in there, man. By the grace of God, yo.
Walmart has responded to the shooting with this tweet: "We are shocked at this tragic event at our Chesapeake, Virginia store. We're praying for those impacted, the community, and our associates. We're working closely with law enforcement, and we are focused on supporting our associates." 5 victims from the shooting are being treated at an area hospital. No word on the extent of their injuries at this hour. Coming up, another missile test by North Korea, and it shows Pyongyang has the potential to strike anywhere in the continental United States. We're going to bring you a look at this latest escalation and North Korea's nuclear ambitions when we come back. A brazen violation of UN security resolutions. That is what the Biden administration is calling North Korea's latest nuclear weapons test. The regime test-fired a missile with the potential to hit any city in the United States. Kim Jong-un is warning the world he's ready to use nuclear weapons against America and our allies in Asia. CBN national security correspondent Caitlin Burke is on this story.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has launched a record number of missiles this year, and he's made his intentions clear. These are simulations of nuclear attacks on South Korean and U.S. targets.
For North Korea, they're trying to perfect their nuclear weapons, and their main goal in using those weapons is to keep the United States really at home.
As North Korean missile launches intensify, world leaders worry a nuclear test is coming. It would be the first since 2017.
This conduct by North Korea most recently is a brazen violation of multiple UN security resolutions. It destabilizes security in the region and unnecessarily raises tensions.
Friday's test of an intercontinental ballistic missile was the second this month and showed progress in North Korea's missile development. Japan's defense minister calling it one of the most powerful yet, capable of reaching any city in the U.S. ICBMs are designed to carry a nuclear weapon.
They have a very robust ballistic missile program, but then there's the last element of that, which is, can they put a nuclear weapon on a delivery vehicle?
North Korea has been clear about recent changes to their nuclear policy. According to a new law, Pyongyang claims their weapons are no longer meant to deter, but can be used preemptively for operational missions to repulse hostile forces in response to aggression and attack, and to achieve victory in battle if deterrence fails. They can be justified in using nuclear weapons if they've come under a nuclear or non-nuclear attack, or if such an attack is even on the horizon.
It was very aggressive. North Korea is the one that is making threats. They like to talk about the United States and South Korea and Japan, conducting exercises that are really defensive in nature. When you look at the four countries, there's only really one country that's making nuclear threats, and it's North Korea.
In response to Pyongyang's latest tests, the U.S. and South Korea conducted drills simulating aerial strikes on North Korean mobile missile launchers. U.S. officials also reiterating a commitment to our allies and warning Kim Jong-un that the use of a nuclear weapon would lead to a swift end of his regime.
I reaffirm our ironclad commitment to our Indo-Pacific alliances. Together, the countries represented here will continue to urge North Korea to commit to serious and sustained diplomacy.
Experts like Ruggiero say it's important to stop North Korea before they're recognized as a nuclear state. He believes that can be done through a three-pronged pressure campaign involving the military, economic, and diplomatic pressure. While he believes the Pentagon is doing its part, he says the other two elements are seriously lacking. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, our next story, also involving North Korea, a new movie based on a true story dealing with America's first black naval aviator and his white wingman and their friendship during the Korean War in 1950, as they became some of the Navy's most celebrated flyers. We're going to bring you a Studio 5 first look at Devotion right after this. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. We're back to share one of my favorite films to share this year. It is the story of elite Navy pilot Jesse Brown, America's first black naval aviator. It is a story that includes family and incredible friendship with a fellow naval aviator, Thomas Hudner. I'm beyond pleased to bring you this Studio 5 first look at Devotion.
The North Koreans came pouring over the 38th parallel. This is war, and we're up.
Jonathan, you played Jesse Brown, the first African-American Navy pilot. Beyond that title, who is he?
He's a father. He's a brother. He's a son. He's a friend. He's a patriot. He's a human.
The commanding officer called you one of the best pilots he's ever seen. It must be hard being the naval aviator. It's the toughest job there is.
Did you ever think that you'd be in a squadron with a colored aviator?
Glenn, how would you describe the relationship between these two elite Navy fighter pilots? You play Tom, you guys play off of each other quite well. How do you describe this relationship?
What I noticed was every day of Tom Hudner's life included Jesse Brown.
I can't tell you how many times people have told me to give up, quit, die even. That's why you can't always do what you're told.
What do you want me to do?
Just be my wingman.
And there was this legacy of camaraderie and friendship, and this. We always described that this relationship is not friendship. It's they were soulmates.
Lieutenant Tom Hudner.
Jesse Brown, it's good to meet you.
When you see how one period of someone's life can be the lasting impact, not just for this one man, but for generations of a family, it really changes the nature of Devotion, because it's not just about two men. It's really about what these two men built together, not now, but for always.
It's it's an epicenter. It's like that's the moment of change. Like from this relationship, right? From this mythic and yet very real relationship, the tectonic shift of their families and this country and hopefully cinema is occurring.
Ready, set, hit!
Seeing the film, I was amazed at how much I didn't know. When did you first come to this story, and what were your thoughts when you did?
Yeah, when this was put in my lap, I had never heard this story. I was just completely blown away. Jesse Brown and Tom Hudner and the Fighting 32s, like the men that surrounded them, we'd have the responsibility of bringing that story to life. For a lot of people who did not know about that story was humbling and exciting.
We bring everyone home.
Joe, what lesson did you take away, or lessons did you take away from being a part of this story?
I think there's a lot of stories out there that have yet to be told.
We're taking a slight detour on the way home. Say again?
What are you gonna find out about your wingman cruising at 10,000 feet, Lieutenant? Put him in a little bit of trouble. Who knows? We might get a peek at who he really is.
I think we can all think of someone that serves in the military or Navy and in some sort of branch, and I think that is what rocks us afterwards. We get off almost every time we speak to somebody, we're like, whoa, this is bigger than us, and I think that's when it's really special.
Yeah, we knew this day might come.
Doesn't make it any easier.
Christina, this is certainly more than a war story. It's a love story, I think, that unfolds on the screen as well. How would you describe Daisy and Jesse's love story?
Ooh, it's a soul tie. These two people, they've been through so much together that you don't see in the film, but that you know in the book. And the kinds of things that they go through are so heightened. They're so defining. And I think that was that thing that you wanted to see, that these two people absolutely love each other. They absolutely trust each other. And that you want to see couples talk.
You belong in the sky, Jesse. Just remember you belong down here with us too, okay?
JD, how personal was this story for you, considering you're the child of a Navy pilot, also groundbreaking and history-making himself? How personal was this?
At times too personal.
Try to keep up.
In Devotion, I found myself with this really rare opportunity to not just, honor the legacies of these real people, but in a way, with my dad being a naval aviator 30 years behind Jesse, it gave me an opportunity to sort of explore what he went through as well.
Jonathan, in light of all that we have seen unfold in our country in the last couple of years when it comes to race relations, and then seeing you two play these parts out, how timely do you think the message or lessons we could learn from watching the dynamics of these two men?
This piece is so relevant from that lens. In this piece, we see the gap of empathy, right? And we watch it get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and you see what happens when there's true allyship. You see what happens when there's true listening and true understanding, that 1 + 1 = 3. That's the miracle of collaboration. That's the miracle of empathy. That's the miracle of being devoted to a cause and having and giving empathy to an individual. You know what I mean? We see Jesse Brown, who came from the mud and puts himself in the sky.
I need everyone sharp and ready.
Those boys are holding on by their fingernails.
Ready, set, hit!
Remember what you're fighting for.
Devotion is in theaters tomorrow. That is Thanksgiving Day. Tonight on Studio 5, we've got much more from this incredible story of the first Black naval aviator. We're also going to have a look at the love surrounding Wakanda Forever, and then we're going to sample some wonderful new music rising from Lakewood Church. For more uplifting entertainment, be sure to catch us this evening on Studio 5. It begins at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. You can also find it on the CBN News app. We'll be right back with an encouraging word for your Thanksgiving holiday. Stay with us. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is joy. Remember this, the joy of the Lord is our strength, and He gives us His joy. As He gives us His joy, He's also renewing our strength. So lay hold of God's joy today, even in the middle of life's most difficult challenges and situations you simply don't understand. It is there, and in that, you will find strength sufficient for the day. With that word, make this a wonderful Wednesday. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News channel at any time, as well as online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us. You can do that at the address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll hope you have a wonderful Wednesday and a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Goodbye, everybody. God bless.